death toll from the floods on Australia's east coast has reached 22 as the recovery effort continues. Around 7,000 defence personnel are on the ground assisting with the recovery across New South Wales and Queensland. They are delivering 33 pallets of disaster relief to Lismore in northern New South Wales, as well as food drops and fuel supplies to remote communities. In Queensland, the Navy is operating hydrographic survey ships along the Brisbane River to check the obstacles and check ferry terminals. 100 US Navy sailors will join the clean-up effort in Brisbane next week. The Prime Minister has defended his decision to exclude Queensland from the national flood emergency. Scott Morrison argues it shows he's willing to listen to feedback from the state premiers.
Visiting a flooded property in the New South Wales Hawkesbury, the Prime Minister inspects the damage.
We estimate there to be about $30,000–$35,000 worth of loss.
Right.
Earlier, Scott Morrison met volunteers at a local charity.
Yeah, so this is our hamper packing line.
They've been working around the clock to provide crucial supplies for residents cut off by floodwaters.
Do you want to take it for your lunch?
This is the second flood in less than 12 months in the Hawkesbury. The Prime Minister received a briefing from authorities on the scale of the damage.
So that area was an addition to what we had last time.
A national emergency has now been declared for the New South Wales floods.
The situation, particularly in the northern rivers, is absolutely devastating. They've had an inland tsunami there.
But that emergency declaration has not been extended to Queensland, despite the PM promising on Thursday that it would be.
I'm not so stubborn as to not listen, and when the Premier tells me she doesn't think it's necessary, well, of course, I'm going to listen to that.
Premier Palaszczuk made her view clear on Thursday.
The time for that national emergency was probably a week ago.
Well, if she thought it was necessary a week ago, she could have written to me and asked me to do it, but she didn't.
Under the emergency powers, the federal government does not need to wait for that state request.
Indeed, this has been a national crisis.
Federal Labor is keen to make the most of the backflip ahead of the election. Anthony Albanese met locals in the seat of Brisbane.
It's extraordinary that this Prime Minister, once again, was here for the photo op and the headline and then disappeared.
More financial support for flood-affected areas is likely to be included in the pre-election budget, which is now less than 3 weeks away.
But there is more coming, and we're adding to this support every single day.
Labor argues the financial support has missed the mark, pointing out thousands of flood victims have been excluded from extra disaster payments.
The idea that Lismore qualifies for additional assistance, but Murwillumbah and Byron Shire and Tweed Shire don't qualify is just quite frankly absurd.
The government says it will continue to monitor the recovery on the ground. Trudy McIntosh, Sky News, Canberra.